Picture this. You deport someone across the channel, pat yourself on the back for being tough on borders, and then that exact same person hops on another small boat and comes straight back. Congratulations, you've just played yourself. This isn't a hypothetical nightmare scenario. This is actually happening right now under Keir Starmer's so-called one-in, one-out returns deal with France, and it's making Britain's border policy look like the world's most expensive revolving door. Shabana Mahmood and the Home Office must be absolutely thrilled. Here are the facts that would be hilarious if they weren't so catastrophically embarrassing. An Iranian migrant first reached the UK on August 6th. The Home Office, in a rare display of actually doing something, deported him to France on September 19th. Job done, right? Borders secured, illegal entry prevented, system working as intended, except there's one tiny problem. On October 18th, less than a month later, that same migrant was back in Britain after crossing the channel again in a small boat. You genuinely cannot make this level of incompetence up. It's like trying to bail out a sinking ship with a colander and being shocked when the water keeps coming in. Let's talk about what this means for Starmer's grand border strategy because, spoiler alert, it means absolutely nothing good. The Prime Minister struck this deal with Emmanuel Macron with great fanfare, positioning it as a serious solution to channel crossings. The concept was simple. For every migrant Britain returns to France, France accepts them back. One in, one out. Sounds reasonable until you realize that France isn't actually detaining these people when they arrive. They are housed in state accommodation centers. Sure, but they are completely free to leave whenever they fancy. So Britain goes through all the effort and expense of deportation, and France essentially drops them off at a hostel with no supervision and waves goodbye. It's border security theater at its finest. Now, before we paint this migrant as simply gaming the system for laughs, his story reveals something even more damning about this entire charade. He claims that when he was returned to France, he was taken to a shelter in Paris where he was terrified to leave because of people smugglers. According to him, these smugglers are armed, dangerous, and had previously trafficked him, forcing him to work and threatening him at gunpoint. He described being trapped in forests, abused, treated like an object, and living in constant fear. His account paints a picture of someone who fled back to the UK not because Britain's such an easy touch, but because France was genuinely dangerous for him. Now, whether you believe that narrative or not, it exposes a massive flaw in this returns policy. If people being sent back immediately encounter the same criminal networks that trafficked them in the first place, what exactly is being sold here? The Home Office's response to this absolute shambles has been predictably weak. They are holding him in an immigration detention center and promise to expedite his deportation. Expedite. That's government speak for we'll try really hard this time. Promise. Home Office sources are scrambling to explain how someone they already deported managed to waltz back in, and their best answer is essentially we'll deport him harder next time. It's like watching someone repeatedly walk into the same door and insisting that next time they'll walk into it with more determination. The political reaction has been swift and absolutely merciless. Kimi Badinuk, with the kind of surgical precision that comes from watching your opponents implode, asked the perfect question. Does that mean we now have to take 2 people from France to return him? It's brilliant because it exposes a mathematical absurdity of this one-in, one-out scheme. If the same person can be deported multiple times, does France owe us multiple people back? Is there a loyalty card system? Collect 5 deportations and get a free return? Badinuk didn't stop there, hammering home that Labour has no backbone, no plan, and is too weak to make tough decisions on borders. And frankly, when someone you've already deported just sails back in, that criticism pretty much writes itself. Nigel Farage, never one to miss an opportunity to pile on when it comes to immigration failures, called it an abject failure and claimed illegals are laughing at us. Chris Philp, the Shadow Home Secretary, described the scheme as descending into farce, pointing out that they can't even ensure the handful of people returned to France actually stay there. And here's a truly devastating statistic that puts this whole disaster in perspective. Only 42 people have been returned to France since this scheme began, while over 10,000 have arrived. 42 versus 10,000. That's not a returned policy, that's a rounding error. Think about those numbers for a moment because they're absolutely staggering. Migration Watch did the maths, and it's genuinely shocking. At the current rate of returns, 1 deportation every 2 days, It would take until the year 2320 to remove every small boat arrival that's happened since Labour took office. The year 2320. We'll have flying cars, colonies on Mars, and holographic politicians before this backlog gets cleared at the current pace. Out Mehmet from Migration Watch absolutely nailed it when he said this isn't a legacy to look back on with pride. He also pointed out the fundamental mathematical problem. If we receive one migrant back for each one we retain, we end up with the same number plus new arrivals. It's immigration policy designed by someone who failed basic arithmetic. The Conservatives are now calling for Britain to leave the European Convention on Human Rights, arguing it's the only way to rapidly deport illegal arrivals. Matt Vickers called the situation a complete farce and demanded we exit the ECHR so we can deport anyone arriving illegally within a week. Whether you agree with that approach or not, and it's certainly controversial, it reflects the growing frustration that current arrangements simply aren't working. When someone you've already removed can return within weeks and there's apparently nothing you can do about it, people start questioning whether the system is fit for purpose. France's Interior Ministry, naturally, denied that conditions for returned asylum seekers are difficult. They would say that, wouldn't they? Their entire role in this arrangement is to accept returnees and house them in state accommodation. Admitting those facilities are dangerous or that criminal networks prey on vulnerable people, they would rather undermine the whole scheme. So they maintain everything's fine while people are apparently crossing back to Britain claiming they feared for their lives in Paris. The disconnect between official statements and reality has never been wider. Thanks for watching this breakdown of Britain's revolving door border policy. This is UK Secrets, exposing the chaos they hope you won't notice. Hit that subscribe button because this government's providing plenty more content where this came from.